Hi, welcome to a unique episode of Daddy Curb's farm. You can tell by the background that we're not on the farm. This is a suburban lot. It's where my sister and my mom and dad live, and we're just over here visiting, and they needed something put together to hang on their fence for planting small flowers or herbs or something. So they had purchased this vertical wall garden by Vigoro, and so we're just gonna put it on the fence and see how that looks. This is a system designed to put these hanging pots on. Then we're gonna take it over to the fence and hang it on the fence. But while we're here, I'll go ahead and show you some of the garden space and flower space that has been planted. Most of this is ornamental, but there are 2 raised beds in the background here that are used for food production. Right now there's tomatoes and beans and all sort of things that are planted, and we're ready to see those grow up and get something out of. So I'll show you those when I'm done putting this on the fence. Does that look like it's going to be level from back there? Down on the right? Right there? There we go. That was easy enough. That'll give a place for some herbs or some flowers, or maybe even just bird nests. Who knows? But one thing to be careful with when you're planting and hanging gardens that hang on the fence or the wall is that they're going to dry out faster. They're going to need a lot of extra moisture, so you got to pay attention to either plant things that like a more dry environment, or put a drip line on it, or just be diligent to come out here and water it more often. Now I'm going to show you the raised bed gardens that my brother and I built a season or 2 ago. This is my mom. Hi, Mom. Say hi, Mom. It is Mom and Mom's dad, Grandpa. I got a lot of inspiration from him growing up because he had a very large garden. He didn't talk much, but I got to watch him work. And he planted all sorts of things: fruit trees, berry bushes, row gardens, strawberry patches, everything. It was a real pleasure walking through the garden at Grandpa's place. So I'm glad to have that memory to help me on my journey. Okay, so these 2 raised beds that we put in here, for right now, there's onions on the front. This whole bed back here is all onions, but on the front of this bed here are onions. And there's some peppers started in the pots. There's a few tomatoes that have been planted in the bed. There's some tomato starts that we tried to start up by seedlings in the trays. And there's green beans and lettuce that is mostly finished for the season. This one's getting ready to bolt. It's got a flower forming on top, so that one's going to be ready to give seeds pretty soon. And the trellis was built for the tomatoes last season to grow up against those strings. And even the space around the garden bed is being utilized. Now all of this is fairly new construction, the houses, the neighborhood. So the soil, when they come through here, when they build the houses, they basically just bulldoze all the good soil off, and they leave it with construction grade, infertile, sterile soil. So last season what we did is we put cardboard and compost and mulch, and this has all been breaking down over the last season. And I just dug over there with a little hand rake to see what the condition of the soil was, and it's looking really nice. And I found a worm, which is a nice indication that the soil life is picking up. So even around the garden beds, Mom is utilizing this space and the fertility that we've built into the soil for cucumbers and tomatoes and beans and sunflowers. And what else you got in here?
Pumpkin is over there.
And pumpkin, and lots of just ornamentals. There's Texas sage, snapdragons, and lots of flowers that I don't have any idea what they are, but Mom loves them all. So I know this was a little bit different type of episode than what you're used to, but I thought it might be fun, give you a little bit of encouragement if you have something more like a typical suburban lot. I know not everyone has acreage. In fact, a lot of people don't. So people who watch my channel might be trying to figure out how they can incorporate different things into their backyard or even on a patio. But I say use whatever space you have to its fullest potential. You know, make it pretty, make it useful, make it productive. Use little things like hummingbird feeders to bring in the wildlife. Because just because you live in a place that's full of houses and buildings doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the outdoors. Build your raised beds, plant your flowers, and enjoy the outdoors. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Daddy Kurt's Garden. I'll talk to you soon.